What's your worst wingman moment? I was flirting with this girl in a bar, we'll call her Jill. But her friend Beth was totally killing the mood. Being negative and generally bringing the table down. At one point, I turned to my buddy sitting next to me and said, I wish we could get Beth to leave, so I'd have a shot with Jill. My buddy shrugs his shoulders, picks up his beer and blatantly pours it all over Beth. Not spills. Picks it up and pours it down her chest and into her lap. The entire table sits there stunned for a second. Then Jill looks at me and says, you were just talking to him. Did you ask him to do that? Before I can reply, my friend just quips, yup. His idea. Well, I need another beer. Anyone else? Before getting up and heading to the bar. Needless to say, things didn't work out with Jill. Not really a wingman moment. But I was trying to boost my friend's confidence to get him to talk to a girl. Gave him the age-old advice of being confident and a slight asshole at the same time. He proceeded to walk up to a beautiful girl and ask her, what's up? Down syndrome face? Needless to say, he didn't have much success that night. Your friend is pretty stupid. I promised my best friend I would find him a girlfriend. I ended up being that girlfriend. Worst wing woman. Not necessarily worst, but probably laziest. Now just imagining that moment. Duck it. This is too difficult. I'll just be his damn girlfriend. We both thought we were wingmen. We both ended up ducking ugly chicks. Once during pilot training I was on lead's wing, doing practice maneuvers and the like. It happened to be around noon, and one of the maneuvers involved relatively high angles of bank. Sure enough, I lost visual contact with lead in the sun during a high G turn. I broke out like we were trained to. But then it took about 10 minutes to get back into formation. 10 minutes is a long time when you only have an hour or so to do all your formation work. And it was a big debrief item for me, Reed, getting yelled at. And that was my worst wingman moment. My wingman blew it for me once. Freshman year of college. We went to a party in our dorm, the floor below. The girl who was running the party I had a crush on and wanted to hook up with. Her clingy best friend was there and my friend was supposed to keep her occupied, just by talking to her or whatever, while I flirted with the roommate. It was working out great and by the end of the night it was just me, the girl I liked, my roommate, and the clingy girl left at the party. Clingy girl left. My roommate goes okay bye and proceeds to stay in the room with us. Even after 2 hours of subtle hits to him he stayed in the room. Eventually it hit 3 AM and she could sense that he wasn't going to leave and heads to bed. We both leave. I have yet to see a best wingman thread and this story must be shared. My friend got a new place and was having a party. So there is this super cute girl there and I start to chat her up. The thing is that she had a very clingy, ugly friend who was one of those chicks who is better because men won't give her a pounding. Because she is a better fat chick. So I am talking to this girl. She is giving me the let's duck now vibes and I was stoked. She was invited to the party by a friend of hers and asked me if I live there. I look over at my buddy and he proceeds to tell her how I live here. My room is the one on the right. Then turned to the fat chick and tried to distract her. As we were walking to my friend's room, the fat chick grabs the girl and tries to pull her away saying let's go. My buddy proceeds to step in and yet again distract the girl long enough for us to get into the room and get down to the business. So we are going at it. And I hear sporadic pounding on the door and whatnot. Find out later that the girl was trying to get in to stop us and my friend was a physical barrier between her and the door. My friend literally fought off a fat chick so I could get laid. TLDR, I was ducking a chick. Fat friend tried to bust in and stop it. My wingman put himself between the fat chick and the door to stop her. In college my roommate befriended a little cutie from Minnesota in his biology class. She would come to our dorm, with an open floor plan no privacy, to study. It was obvious my roommate wanted to smash. We commenced to come up with a plan to do so. He and I decided we'd invite her and others to our dorm to drink and see if he could manage to find his way back to her dorm to crush it after things winded down. Things go well. We all drink a lot. I think the 6 of us filled 3 cases of natty. Our neighbors leave our dorm, leaving only my roommate, the girl, and myself. I was very drunk. I quickly passed out. My roommate decided to roll the dice and attempt to have sex with this girl a mere 5 feet away from me. I woke up at maybe 3 AM to rhythmic thumping of a bed frame. Though shaken, I was facing them. I played it cool and feigned sleep until he could wrap things up. I'm proud I didn't alert them of my consciousness. It's never okay to cock block. My buddy was really into this girl on a party, so I started talking to her. He is really shy, and got her 3 tequilas. To make it easier, wind up 10 minutes she pukes all over my friend. Well, that sounds like a good night out to me. We had to leave. She vomited litters on him, and it we've been there for only an hour. I had to get all the paper towels on a bathroom because he didn't want to make a mess on his car. My buddy was into this girl at a bar, so needless to say, I kept her friend company, slept with her, got her pregnant. Now I have 14 more years of child support, blackmail, and abuse allegations left. He got herpes from the girl he was into. We both wish we would have just stayed home that night. This actually happened just last weekend at an adult beverage festival. Taking a photo of 2 friends wearing ridiculous hats went a girls photobombas. The thing about girls photobombing is that if they are cute they are merely just accepted into the photo lovingly. But I digress. Photos over and hats removed, they starting chatting my friend and I up. The 2 were cute, slightly inebriated and flirting heavily, so clearly the right thing to do was attack. However, I honestly wasn't feeling it. Our other friends left us, and being the stand-up guy I am, I continue conversing one of them while my friend is clearly hitting it off with the other. This goes on for what felt like I should have been drinking, but finally we broke away with the girls promising to find us later. So I asked my friend if he got her number. He replied that he hadn't bothered and asked the same back. At this point we had a man moment and we both realized we were being the wingman for the other, but neither of us were interested. That's friendship. TLDR. We both thought we were the other's wingman. I was in a club with my friends and I started dancing with one super attractive girl. Her fat beast of a friend was trying to get her away from me because you know the fat girl thing, if I can't have someone, nobody can. Enter my best friend. He slowly got the fat girl away long enough for me to dance with the hot girl and get her number and so on. I could see my friend trying to get my attention and trying to shout something to me, but I couldn't hear. He kept on trying to shout when suddenly the music stopped as he was still shouting, "Why do I always get the fatty question mark?" Fatty ran away and hot girl went after her dart. I took my male friend to a gay bar with me to check it out and hit on the straight girls that come there to just dance. Usually they like that, even though they are at this place where no one should be supposedly interested in them at the bar. This sensitive straight guy is there. It doesn't hurt that both have been drinking. Anyway, we approach this group of girls and I put on the love your shoes plus here's my straight friend who came out to support me but now wants to dance with someone routine. Instead of being flirtatious and jovial, he starts going on and on about his mother. Needless to say, they promptly walked away. Being a wingman is tough work sometimes. Side note, for those who question or are skeptical of girls in gay clubs, look in the comments for one that I posted. I was friends with this really great guy, and he'd been single for a while and was fairly shy quiet. So I decided to help him out. One night, we went to Applebee's for dinner, and I left his number for the waitress. But it was him, my 2 kids, and myself. I realized after we left what it probably looked like to the waitress. We both laughed. Though, I tried to set him up with every single female friend I had. They'd meet him, hang out with him, and then tell me he's great, but it's not going to go anywhere. I figured I had stupid friends. Well, one day, one of them breaks it down for me. The reason no one wanted to go for him is that to him. They'd always be second to me. I figured I had crackhead friends. Until one night. One thing led to another. 3 months later, we moved in together. And a year later we got married. TLDR, a foot massage will get you laid. I had been flirting with this waitress for a while and went to her restaurant one night with a friend after hitting the bar. She and I are chatting when she mentioned something about her recent ex. I love my friend but he's a bit clueless and he says loudly, "Streaky chimp." She's saying she's single. I was like, "Thanks bro." We left shortly after. I told him what he said the next day and he was embarrassed and apologetic. When I was a teenager, I always thought it was funny to go up to my friends at parties while they were talking to girls and say, "Bro, you left your herpes medication at my house." Ironically, it didn't have the worst outcome for them. They'd be like, "Oh, this my friend. He thinks that it's funny to say stupid things. And no, I don't have herpes." Then they'd walk away. Cooler than me. In the eyes of the girl. One of my best friends is super outgoing and better looking than I am. And was unknowingly one of the worst wingmen I've ever had. I remember one night there were at least 5 different times where I would be talking to a girl. He would join the convo. And 10 minutes later he was grinding with said girl on the dance floor. The most frustrating thing was that he has a girlfriend that he's very committed to, so he wasn't even looking to hook up. I called him out on it after that night and ever since then he's been the best wingman I could ask for. He legitimately didn't realize that he was cock-blocking me left and right. I was wingmaning for a friend of mine recently after he broke up with his girlfriend. We were at the bar. And I had managed to get him into a conversation with a lovely girl. Unfortunately, he was far too drunk. And while he was standing in line at the bar he leaned forward and threw up all over his own shoes. He immediately sprinted for the exit. I was going to follow. But I knew our house was only a couple blocks away and I knew that he would make it. I wound up taking the girl home myself. I was at a party with a friend once and he wanted to go over and talk to a girl but he wanted me to wingman because she was talking to her friends. While we were all talking, the girl that he was interested in lost interest and walked away. The two, quite hot, I might add, friends stayed with me and I spent the rest of the evening with them. My friend just walked away awkwardly and ate food alone the whole evening. I feel kinda bad. Not really. I wasn't the wingman. But my friend was. I was at the bars with a couple of my friends. One of my friends says he is gonna find me a nice girl. Well, shortly after that he succeeds. He finds a couple of cute girls and introduces them to me. We are all talking for a little while. One of the girls asks where we are from. We are all from a town about 200 miles away from where we currently are. Then they ask what brings us to our current location. My friend says it's his bachelor party. And points at me. My jaw drops and I just stare at him. Shortly after that, the girls bailed. Edit, no. It was not my bachelor party. My friend is just a moron and thought that would work. I introduced my friend 6 times. 6. This is my buddy's wingman story. Capital I. For the first time in my life. Was picked up by a girl at a bar. I was at the bar with my buddy. And these 2 girls were there. He and I went back to her house in the middle of nowhere with her and her friend. She had a pool. We had been doing shots all night. Naked pool time. So I ended up upstairs for the night with the girl. My friend stayed in the pool with her friend. She was heavier. But very cute. They are making out and she starts all this nervous chatter about how she looks fat. He says don't worry about it. And continues to kiss her. He wasn't exactly a model himself. She takes that as him calling her fat and begins to get loud. He says, "Okay then. We don't have to make out drunk and naked in a pool," and swims away. She starts pining for his attention. But his buzz has been stabbed and is bleeding out towards death. She starts yelling at him. He gets out of the pool. She continues to run her mouth and he mutters that she has something wrong with her. She says, "Oh yeah? Well, you're nothing but a ducking wingman." He laughed and proceeded to walk 10 miles back to civilization to be picked up by a girl that liked him at 4 AM. He got laid that night. I didn't. A favorite story of mine from college. A couple of buddies and me went to a Halloween party at a buddy's frat house. We all get there and kinda split up as it was a pretty big house. About an hour later I'm wandering around and a girl I've met a few times before runs up to me and tells me they are starting a game of alligator dentist in someone's bedroom. So who's passing that up? No one. I walk into the room and my buddy, we'll call him Fred, is in there with his smocking hot blonde in a sexy bee costume. So, it's me, Fred, Bumblebee, and this other girl drunk in this room. Well, turns out the girls would play alligator dentist such that if you lost, you had to kiss one of the other players. Now at the time both Fred and I are in long distance relationships and this Bumblebee chick is just so obviously ready to duck his brains out. He goes and the alligator snaps shut on his hand and he just looks at me with a look of sheer horror. We both knew that in order for this situation to not escalate into an orgy, he was gonna have to kiss me. Thankfully he was sober enough to kiss me on the cheek. So I realize, at this point, I've got to stop him from beefing this chick, so what do? I rip the nastiest silent but deadly fart fueled by nachos Belgrande you've ever smelled. Took about 30 seconds for the chicks to dip out. Fred was out of there faster than a fat kid in dodgeball. I catch up to him outside and he just grabs me by the shoulders and thanks me profusely for sheeting my pants. Him and that same girlfriend got married a few months ago. We tried a tactic that we dubbed White Night for the first and last time. It involved 3 people. My friend and I would go up to a girl group of girls and act like drunk assholes. After a 30 seconds or so, the person we are wingmanning was supposed to come over and apologize for our behavior, saying things like they are just really drunk. Sorry about my friends. The logic was that we completely avoided any approach anxiety and he would look like a good guy in comparison. We thought this was a good tactic to make our tall large MMA fighter friend look less intimidating. The problem was that we planned this when we were sheet-faced. For Loco Halloween sheet-faced. The guy that was supposed to come over and be a good guy didn't quite get the plan. So my friend and I, for Loco schwasted, acted like drunk assholes to this group of really nice girls for about an hour while the guy who was supposed to come over just stood and stared at us angrily. Eventually, I know an hour is too long. We just got so embarrassed that we decided to leave. At this time, our friend who had been staring at us angrily decided that now was the time to confront us about being assholes. Remember how Four Loko used to be just sheet tons of caffeine and malt liquor in concentrations that resulted in emotional roller coasters? Yeah. So he is yelling at us in the middle of someone else's house about how we should treat women better and threatening to kick the shit out of us. That didn't really make him look less intimidating. Quite the opposite. The already traumatized group of nice women were seriously freaked the shit out. It was embarrassing. Never again. I'm so late to this party, but here it goes. This one night I was high and drunk as gonads. My old roommate's brother was this desperate freshman kid who kept asking me to hook him up with a girl. I was senior by then. I felt bad for the kid because I was inebriated as duck and couldn't talk to any girl for him. Plus I didn't know that many people at the place. So I let him hit on my GF. She obviously turned him down. I pretended to not be aware of his moves. He didn't know that she was my GF. I patted his back later and my GF explained to me how this young kid had the worst pickup moves ever. He came off really rappy. I tried to wingman for my buddy once. But the girl he wanted was more interested in me, and the fat chick I was supposed to run interference on probably couldn't have cared less if I caught fire and collapsed right in front of her. Actually, this has happened a couple of times. I think I make a poor wingman and amp number 3232 and amp number 3232. I was talking to a girl at a party. Now, this place was on the 18th floor of a high rise and we were out on the balcony admiring the view. My friend comes up and tells her K0mm13 told me earlier that he could pick you up and throw you off the balcony. I did no such thing. It did not go well. We were out partying in another city. A group of friends having some short vacation. And there she stood. In a group of girls there was this delicious petite brunette. And so the game of exchanging looks began. No one daring to do the first step. Trying to get courage, I tell to a friend, "Hey, that girl over there and I are ogling each other." And so came his answer from the bottom of his half. "Do you really believe she looks at you?" Disdain in his voice. I was less than a worm. Confidence was so crushed that you couldn't watch the remains without setting them aloft with just your breath. I haven't forgotten, forgiven, or gotten over this yet. More than 10 years and it still stings. This deep wound hurt our friendship until it ended. My worst wingman moment came 2 nights ago. My mate was having a party at his place. And had invited a girl he likes as well as some university friends. Unfortunately that girl couldn't make it, but she told him to come over for movies at hers the next night. Last night, I knew another girl coming to the party had a serious interest in my friend and he had slept with her several times before. This other girl is out of this world hot. I wish I could post a picture of her because she is a picture of perfection in terms of face, body and hobbies. Love Skyrim, Bioshock and just good PS3 games in general. Skip to the end of the night and I had seen the girl flirting with him and deciding to do the friend thing and not the wingman route. I tried to keep her away. Once people started heading off to bed, I went and claimed his bed as my own, assuming he would just collapse into it, knowing he couldn't bring her in since I was already there. Skip to the next morning. I wake up to me and him next to each other and then the amazing figure of beauty on his offer side spooning his body. I knew they would sleep together if I left before everyone else woke up, so I laid there staring at the roof until the rest of the house started moving and it was safe to leave them alone. TLDR. I big did blocked a good friend from sleeping with an incredible girl. Just to ensure he didn't duck up things with a girl he really liked.